Well, good morning, friends. Today I'm actually in Colorado, beautiful state up here in the Rockies, and I'm standing on Cottonwood Lake. Cottonwood Lake is actually where I proposed to my wife. It's been a decade ago, and it was close to this time of year, but there wasn't snow on the mountains back then, so it must have been just a few weeks from this time of year, but it is a beautiful place out here. Anyway, I wanted to do a quick video. I was reading through the comments, and somebody said that, I had the unique opportunity of covering the biggest crash in American history financially. And I don't disagree with what they're saying. I think that there's a lot going on out there. I've seen this country fall apart faster than I ever anticipated it could. In a lot of different ways. In some ways, the glue is still sticking, but it has been a difficult time, I think, for a lot of people. I think a lot of people are scared. And just standing out here and thinking about, my life since the day I proposed on a rock just on the other side of the lake there. If you asked me back then if I'd be doing what I'm doing right now, driving across country, sleeping in the back of my Tahoe and pulling a trailer and filming ranches and bison and that type of stuff, I would have thought you were nuts. I was a commercial real estate broker. I had my own agency in Raleigh. My wife was in financial advisory. We both had those corporate jobs, good paying jobs, and we were comfortable. We liked what we were doing. I mean, everybody likes it when they have a good paycheck. But, soon after we were married, we got pregnant and she got put on bed rest while we were rebuilding our farmhouse. We have a whole series on it on YouTube. It was a very difficult challenge because we had a massive undertaking there, and she had gotten put on bed rest with our youngest, who incidentally was born 3 months early. And that whole experience caused me to shut down my business to be at home to take care of them. And obviously she couldn't keep her job in her situation. So we were left at the end of that, barely getting through the situation of making our house livable. And we were dead broke, had no jobs, and had to kind of reinvent ourselves completely. It's funny because there's so many people that are so concerned about that paycheck. Until you go through a life experience where you just get completely torn down, you don't realize how unnecessary that big paycheck actually is. If you look at our lives today, our quality of life is completely different than it was back then. We don't go to work from 9 to 5, sometimes 6, working 40, 50 hours a week. And I'm not saying that that's bad. I'm saying everybody should. I actually do work. I would say I actually do work. Probably more than that. It just doesn't feel like it. The difference is that we reinvented the wheel, took ourselves in a different direction, found things that we love doing, and because of that, I feel like we've been rewarded in a lot of ways. Our lives are more fulfilling. We enjoy what we do. No, the paycheck's not as big, but we've also offset a lot of that with growing our own food, with everything from homeschooling. I mean, there's a lot of different things that we do that offset a lot of the big bills that we used to have. So we don't even have to make the paychecks that we used to have, and we live a better quality of life. So when these times are coming and people are worried about losing their jobs and this, that, and the other thing, I've got a couple pieces of advice for you, because I hope you listen to what I have to say here. Number one is get out of the system. The first thing a lot of people do when they lose their job is they plug into the system. And by that, I mean unemployment, whatever it is, whatever financial assistance you feel that you need to get. People plug into that. And that's a trap, because number one, when you do that, they actually have rights to your bank accounts, everything. It's horrible. Number two, just find something that you enjoy doing, find a passion, and then move forward with ways that you can earn an income off of it. something I've realized from all the ranches we visit, all the farms we visit, these small farmers, they're passionate about what they do, but they can't possibly make a living in today's world operating a small farm or ranch. So they find all these different little avenues that end up bringing small parts of income into their business. So they've got like harvest hosts where people can come and stay on their property. They've got camping sites. They've got, different farmers markets that they attend. But the point is that you can learn to plug in to different ways to make your checks and balances work. But the one thing you want to do is avoid getting trapped into that system, because in my opinion, I think that part of what we're seeing today with this contraction in our economy is on purpose. And I think that they're trying to steer more and more people towards that dependence. That's why you see the middle class just falling apart these days. And so what you need to do is figure out how you can not be one of those people. You don't want to be another statistic there. We aren't just people who belong in part of a census. My wife and I have, gone through many different paths. It constantly changes too. We never really know what's going to end up happening next. But the one thing that we have figured out is that our faith has never led us wrong. So as long as we're going in the direction that we've been guided to go in, we've always been provided for. Sure, there are some tight times. There are some times where you feel like you've got a little bit of excess, and those are great. Those are fun. But for the most part, we're just constantly praying about what to do next, and we get steered in that direction. And as long as we're listening and we go that way, regardless of how crazy we think it is, things have turned out pretty good, So I do think that there's a lot of concern going on out there, and I spend a lot of time on my videos just talking about, the things that are going on. It can get depressing. People think it's fear-mongering, but that's just the news. It's just the reality of the situation that we've been in. But through it all, there's this opportunity. When things come crashing down on you, there's this opportunity to just wake up one day and say, hey, I'm going to be myself. I'm going to do something new. I'm going to break myself out of the system, because believe it or not, your 9 to 5 is part of that system. And I'm going to start doing what I want to do, and I'm going to find a way to make a living at it, and I'm going to do something with myself. A lot of people think that what we do is easy. It's actually not easy, and it's actually quite expensive. The reason why we do it is because one of our passions that we developed in moving to a rural area, starting to grow our own food, becoming awakened to the food system, is that we want to preserve the diversity and democracy we have within our food system, the right to choose where our food comes from. If you don't think that system is under attack, you need to open your eyes up. Just look at what happened in the Netherlands, and look what's happening all across Europe. Look what's happening all across the world, the U.S. even. And these systems are under attack. There's a massive movement to consolidate, turn people away from traditional foods. These are things that happened to other societies throughout the past to literally take control over the society. And so that's something that's one of the things that we've become passionate about maintaining is maintaining that right to choose where our food comes from, maintaining that right to diversity in the food system. There's nothing better in the world than a capital system where you get to choose and vote with your dollars. And there's a lot more to what we do as well. That's why we started our nonprofit, Meet My Neighbor Productions, to go around and share the stories of America's small farmers, because they're amazing stories, not just of food in particular, but entrepreneurialism, ingenuity. The stories we run across are absolutely amazing. So to do that, we established a nonprofit. I would have never thought I would be involved with a nonprofit, right? But it works. It allows us to go out and tell those stories that we're passionate about to help educate others. I remember we were sitting in a small diner near our house one day, And I heard, the UN coming on with one of their big reports about how bad meat was and how we need to get rid of all the cows. And I was just sitting there thinking, oh my gosh, we've got to do something about this. And I joke all the time. If I started a nonprofit that went around saying that, farming and meat was bad and generalized it that way, we'd have millions of dollars funding our nonprofit tomorrow with lots of employees out with cameras doing all sorts of crazy stuff. But because we're out there telling the truth about rural America, helping people reconnect with where their food comes from, with more traditional ways of doing things, it's very difficult to do what my wife and I are doing. And I'm actually pretty proud of where we've come since we sat on a rock on the other side of this lake about a decade ago, and I handed her a ring and asked her to marry me. I mean, what we've accomplished together, and it's not easy, for those of you who work with your spouse, sometimes you've got to get past those things. But at this point, we've got a rhythm down, and I feel like, we've come a long way. But all of this came about, all of our lives, everything that we're doing now came about because we went through that tear down, where we had to give everything up and just reinvent ourselves. And it's been the best thing that could have ever happened to us, to our family. And so I hope that, for those of you who are worried and just sitting there looking at all this stuff going on all the time, I hope that you see that when these things happen, these kind of apocalypses in your life happen, that there's this awesome revelation that's right around the corner. And it continues to happen, and for us, a lot of that has involved a lot of faith. For you may not be a faithful person. I don't judge you for it, but I guarantee you that you're going to be led in directions that you never thought of before. But you've got to go through that teardown, and you've got to break the mentality of having to have this currency in your pocket or coming in each month that really has no meaning whatsoever. And you'll find that you can replace that currency and that value through a lot of different things, through barter, through trade, through creating your own food and things like that. You can offset a lot of those costs. And when you figure out a rhythm to it and you can get it down, your life is going to improve so much. My fear is that we've got this society of people who are so dependent on currency and all of those things that they don't know how to act when that stuff falls apart. And those are the people who you're going to see storming the cities, throwing up fits as the situation unfolds more. And it will because, we're not in the position as an economy we once were, and we don't have the political clout we once had to protect the dollar. And all of these things are coming under attack at once. And our country's leadership on all fronts has been horrible through the entire process. So just keep that in mind. Maybe something I say will help some of you out there. Maybe it will inspire some of you to just go ahead and break that leash that you've been put on. Because once you do, your life's going to change completely, and it's going to be, you're going to go through a difficult time, but you go ahead and do it now, and things are going to get a lot better for you.